All right, good morning to everyone who's joining us live. And if you're watching later on YouTube, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are and whatever you're doing. I hope you're having a great day. I'm Ian Foster, attorney and business coach with 25 plus years experience in law and politics. And here's our daily edition of My Empowered Political Life. This is episode 2. We started this yesterday and we're going to keep going as long as we can keep it up every day. It'll be live on Facebook, 7:30 Pacific, 10:30 Eastern, and then immediately uploaded to YouTube as well. So please try to join our YouTube channel. In the description, there will be links to subscribe to our YouTube channel. So please like and subscribe. If you find this valuable and if you think more people should see it, please like and subscribe and even send our YouTube channel link to your friends and family who might benefit from this. So here's our daily news story up to date. And today it's about the president attacking law firms for engaging in protected speech. And if that sounds bad, well, it's not great. Let's put it that way. So a little bit of background. There's a law firm known as Perkins Coie, which this is a undercovered, not well covered story right now, but a lot of Americans are only just hearing of Perkins Coie. If you've worked in law and politics like I have for a long time, then you have heard of Perkins Coie. They're one of the most prominent national political law firms with clients all over the place. They're a pretty big, famous law firm if you're in the legal world. So I have definitely heard of them before. A lot of Americans are only just now learning who they are and what they do. They mostly represent Democrats, not always, but they tend to be a little bit more progressive in their political leanings. So they tend to represent Democrats in legal and political cases. They represented Hillary Clinton in 2016. Now, the president has long been upset with Perkins Coie because they represented Hillary Clinton, and he's upset that they had involvement in obtaining information about Russian involvement in the 2016 election. And some of the information they obtained led to the Senate Intelligence Committee report and the Mueller report. So they initiated some of the information that ended up in those official government reports. So the president has long been upset with them. Now, what is he doing now? The president, he issues an executive order targeting Perkins Coie specifically. Now, the executive order does say that they are going to look at and possibly investigate other law firms when they don't like what they're saying, but the order specifically targets a single private business, Perkins Coie. Again, Perkins Coie is a law firm. It is a private business. It's a privately owned business operating legally in the United States, engaging in protected speech. And we have an executive order that is now targeting them specifically. So, what the order says is all attorneys at Perkins Coie have their security clearances revoked. This is a firm, again, that represents people in very high profile legal and political cases, often involving classified information, but they've all had their security clearances revoked. Federal employees are now prohibited from discussing cases with attorneys from Perkins Coie. Federal contractors are told that they will lose their government contracts if they do business with Perkins Coie. And Perkins Coie attorneys are banned from accessing federal buildings. Now, keep in mind, federal buildings are public property. Every federal building has a public lobby that you can go into, courthouses, administrative agencies, the whole things. But Perkins Coie attorneys are now told that they are banned from entering federal buildings. So, what does this do? As you might imagine, it takes one of the largest, most prominent law firms in the country and basically puts them out of business. How are they supposed to do in business anymore? They literally can't. Because Perkins Coie can no longer represent anybody in cases involving classified information because they've all lost their security clearances. And cases involving classified information at this sort of level, you might think, well, how often does that happen? It's much more common than you might think. Perkins Coie attorneys can no longer meet with the government to resolve cases. Look, I'm a former government lawyer. I used to meet with private lawyers all the time to try and resolve cases for their clients. I didn't want to take things to court if we didn't have to. I would rather resolve things out of the public eye, and in a way that benefits everybody. But Perkins Coie attorneys can no longer meet with the government to resolve cases. In fact, there have been reports to the effect of that Perkins Coie attorneys had their meetings with government employees canceled. All of a sudden, the day after the executive order, suddenly their attorneys had all their meetings with the government canceled. So how are you supposed to resolve cases? How are you supposed to represent people? All the government contractors are now dropping Perkins Coie as representation. They had a lot of clients who were government contractors. Those contractors are now dropping them as representation because Perkins Coie can't represent them if they can't meet with the government. And Perkins Coie literally cannot even defend itself because it cannot access federal buildings, which includes federal courthouses. How are you supposed to defend yourself in court when you can't go to court? So Perkins Coie actually had to hire other firms to go represent them in court rather than being able to represent themselves because they were not allowed in the courthouse. Now, let's just be clear. This is just as a simple factual matter. We have the president of the United States deciding that a private business should be shut down because he's upset with their prior actions. And in fact, the specific people he's upset with don't even work for Perkins Coie anymore. They have moved on to other law firms. The case was assigned to Judge Beryl Howell. As I said, Perkins Coie had to hire another firm to represent them in the litigation here to challenge the executive order. It was assigned to Judge Beryl Howell in the District of Columbia District Court, and she said the executive order is not enforceable. Now, if you've heard the name Beryl Howell before, it's because she is a long-time, very competent, highly respected judge who has handled lots of high-profile cases in the past. So you may have heard Beryl Howell's name before. And Beryl Howell ruled, not surprisingly, that the executive order is unenforceable because it violates Perkins Coie's free speech rights. The president's response was to then issue a new executive order that's basically identical, targeting another law firm, a law firm known as Paul Weiss. And that there also, if you've worked in law and politics, you've heard of the Paul Weiss law firm as well, although a lot of Americans are only just now hearing about some of these firms. And so now he's targeting another law firm for the same thing. So the president is not only openly defying the court order on Perkins Coie, but instead now is also doing the same thing to another firm, targeting firms for simply engaging in business and what we would think of as protected free speech normally by going to court and making arguments on behalf of their clients, which is what law firms are supposed to do. So Judge Beryl Howell had a couple of key quotes that came out of her decision. The potential adverse impact cannot be overstated. This casts a chilling harm of blizzard proportion across the entire legal profession. And we are already seeing that chilling harm. Perkins Coie was able to find a firm to represent them, but it was not easy. I saw an anonymous quote from a prominent law firm partner who can't be named, basically stating that they don't want to get involved because they're terrified that if they try to stand up for their fellow law firms, that they will be targeted in the same way. And so what we are finding now is law firms that are afraid to litigate in front of the government for fear that they will be targeted and put out of business in the same fashion. And Judge Howell also said our justice system is based on the fundamental belief that justice works best when all parties have zealous advocates. That fundamental promise extends to all parties, even those with unpopular ideas or beliefs or causes disliked by the president. And again, this goes beyond just this president. If this president can do it, then the next president can do it, and the president after that can do it. Which brings us to doors and corners. Again, we are going to cap off every one of these little updates every day with our doors and corners segment, where we were going to look behind doors and look around the corners and figure out what are the implications. So let's look behind the doors and around the corners. Under our Constitution, everyone deserves legal representation. That's how it's supposed to work. Everyone should have equal access to the courthouses and justice. and everyone deserves representation. But we are now seeing as Judge Howell said, a chilling effect across the legal profession, where lawyers are now afraid to represent clients who might have ideas that are unpopular with the administration. And again, you might support this administration's policies, but think of the next administration or the one after that or the one after that. At some point, there's going to be a presidential administration you don't support. And do you want them to have this same power to shut down private law firms simply for representing clients who have a beef with the government? And the government under our system is really not supposed to target private businesses for retribution. I mean, if a presidential administration can target a law firm, then they can target a grocery store or a car manufacturer or a construction firm or a farm, you name it. We are not supposed to have a system where the president can simply pick out one specific private business because he or she does not like that business and shut them down. That's not how our system is supposed to work. And again, who's going to hold the president responsible? We asked this yesterday in a similar context of defying court orders. And what happens if a president keeps ignoring court orders? Again, if this president can ignore court orders, then so can the next one, and so can the next one, and so can the next one. And at some point, even if you support this president's policies, you may not support the next president's policies. You may not support the one after that. And do we want to live in a nation where the president can simply target private businesses and ignore court orders? I think most of us would say no. There are people who disagree, obviously. So again, please remember, if you're not on our YouTube channel, if you're watching on Facebook, please use the link below to check out our YouTube channel. Please like and subscribe if you think this is valuable, if you want to see more of this, and if you want your friends and family to see more of it. You can send on the links, you can like and subscribe. It will expand our reach. We've gotten a ton of great feedback just in the last couple days on this new thing that we're doing every morning. Please comment below also to let me know, are there specific news and legal stories that you want me to cover in future episodes? We're going to try and do this as much as we can every morning if possible. And on the weekends, we'll probably do a weekly wrap up. So please let me know if there are stories you want me to cover. And comment again, rule of law below if you want to see more stories like today's and yesterday's on the rule of law. We will also link to yesterday's story as well. There's going to be a theme here on some of these about the rule of law. I appreciate you all. Thank you so much. And we will see you on the next one.